It's a joy to be here, and it's a great honor, an incredible privilege for me and for my esteemed panelists to, over the next half an hour or so, to start to reimagine the hospitality landscape and the hospitality change that we're seeing in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I think for all of us who are sitting in Dubai and who've been around Dubai and the UAE for the last 20, 30 years, we can sort of put in through that lens what massive change in hospitality really does look like. You know, for those of us who were here many years ago, hospitality was incredibly nascent, and today it's a flourishing industry. In Saudi Arabia, today, I won't make direct comparisons between here and between Saudi and Dubai, but clearly in Saudi Arabia, the beginning of this huge change, this giant welcoming of hospitality, the incredible passion. There's a massive cultural shift, as we all know. There's much more economic diversity, and there's a phenomenal canvas for opportunity. And within that lens and within that landscape, there's also volatility, there's change. There's been change, particularly over the last year throughout the Giga projects, where, you know, inevitably this change must happen because that's an economic reality. And the kingdom is adapting, and with that adaptation is coming, in my opinion, phenomenal opportunity. What I want to do is look briefly through three lenses and share with Stephen and Tatiana and ask their opinion as we look at the people of the kingdom and the youth of the kingdom and the growth of the people of the kingdom as Expo 2030, the World Cup, the Winter Games, all of these critical sort of time events that are about to happen. What is it? What is motivating Tatiana? What is bringing to life the people of the younger people and the general population within the kingdom as you see it?
And it's a very good question. I mean, at the end of the day, the title of our session is Vision 2030. So we need to go back to the roots of what is Vision 2030, what do we do as NEOM, and what do we do within the hotel division of NEOM. So if you look at Vision 2030, it's all about creating a vibrant society, a thriving economy, an ambitious nation. And I can go on and on and on to describe the young Saudi talent in the team. Maybe just to take a step backwards, we need to understand what are we doing to actually empower the talent. So one, I'm personally very privileged to be working with some of the best brains within the Saudi talent, whether young or older and more experienced. But it's also important to see what we're doing for them. So naturally, within the culture of Saudi Arabia, the talent is hospitable by nature. The community is used to having people hosted in their homes, so they're hosted by natural talent and by natural adaptation. And there is a very minor gap versus the rest of the world between where they are naturally and where we want to take hospitality in general. So within the hotel division, we're working as part of NEOM on having the Growth Specialist program, on having RISE. We have an international bachelor's degree with EHL. We have a ZADIC program. You can see on our stand some of the young talent in the culinary division. So you can go on and on. But personally speaking, I'm actually fascinated by a few things with the young talent, and I can say a lot about the ambition and the appetite and this hunger for growth, this hunger to know more, this hunger to learn more. But I think one thing resonates with me personally, and it gives me a sense of privilege working with them, is they have one word, if I want to leave with the audience, is pride. So you can imagine they are attracted to work for NEOM as a beacon of change for Saudi Arabia, as a beacon of putting Saudi Arabian hospitality at the forefront of the world. So if you look at the young talent, I have my colleague Asir speaking in the afternoon, what you see in them, there is a sense of bright pride in their country and wanting to actually play a role in this kind of reimagination of hospitality.
And yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, and I have countless sort of anecdotes, but one that springs to mind is this idea of the youth driving the internal perception, that warmth, that generosity, that kindness, that pride into the future.
I mean, there are perceptions. I mean, I'm slightly more privileged than the rest of the world because I come from the region, not necessarily from Saudi Arabia, but so we're quite close in culture, we understand it. But actually going to Saudi Arabia on a weekly basis, and you see this in the talent. And you feel it's part of, not necessarily a mandate. I don't like the negative connotation of the word mandate, but it's kind of your duty to actually support, bring the hospitality to the next level. It's their country, so they're leading it by example. And just being able to play a slight role in it gives you a lot of honor and privilege.
I completely understand. I completely understand. Stephen, I know you, we met and we realized we met a few months ago in a restaurant in Riyadh, and obviously you've been spending a lot of time there. How are you engaging with the Saudi youth and engaging with the Saudi people and bringing them into the Hyatt world?
Yeah, so first of all, just to echo what Tatiana says, it is really incredible to be part of this. I actually live in Riyadh, so I get the chance to totally immerse myself in this very, very vibrant and exciting community. And I'm also fortunate, I would say, because I lived there in the 90s, so I'm able to draw a comparison. Certainly one thing that hasn't changed, I would say, is the sense of hospitality. That still resonates as it did then. Now, however, there's clearly a goal, a vision, 2030, 150 million visitors. And you can see all this happening as we speak. Anyone who is slightly skeptical about all the plans that currently are going on in Saudi, I suggest they come and look out of the window from the Regency Club in the Hyatt Regency at King Salman Park, which is well under construction and 6 times the size of Hyde Park. So the enormity is incredible, and this can only be done through the strength of the people that we work with. And Hyatt is a caring company. That's part of our purpose. We care for people so that they can be their best. And I totally agree with Tatiana. The training and the development of this community is an incredible motivator for all of us. Actually, we had a Women at Hyatt event in Abu Dhabi, and there was a delegation from KSA at the event, 6 or 7 women that work for us at Hyatt. And I'd explained to them that I'd lived in the kingdom before in the 90s, and they said, well, when you come back, this was just before I'd visited for the first time, you'll see that so much has changed. I said, the fact I'm talking to you here already tells me how much has changed. And clearly what is exciting, everyone is embracing the task at hand. We're very proud yesterday to have announced 2 hotels in NEOM, the Park Hyatt Jaumur and the Andaz Jaumur. So we will have an opportunity to work closely together on that, Tatiana.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, and everyone, and I think everyone in the room, I'm sure, is aware of the efforts, and I know NEOM are doing, and I'm sure Hyatt will do in their own way, of educating, of bringing that heart of hospitality, bringing that passion into the workplace, into the expression, into the brand experience, into the lives of people that are coming to the kingdom. For me, as a brand person, for me, that opportunity in terms of bringing that life, bringing that passion, bringing that love to the brand experience is unprecedented, and with all respect to every other nation and everywhere else, there's something really special.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And for those of us that were there earlier, it's great to go back and to give back to the kingdom where I started my career. You know, we're tripling our hotel portfolio in Saudi Arabia, and that requires a huge level of local talent, which we are busy recruiting. We have 200,000 colleagues worldwide, and over 1,000 of them now are in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So, and that will be expanding, obviously. We just launched a growth program called NUMU, which is a Hyatt-inspired training program for the local youth. And you see Saudis across the workplace now, which is just fantastic.
Everyone is very aware of obviously of AI, of innovation, of technology. In Saudi, technology within the kingdom is actually incredible, particularly within the government system. There's just the most remarkable advances in technology and in terms of innovation. That challenges, or could challenge, one would say, the opportunity that we have within humanity. Tatiana, this is your area. This is...
I'm not sure you want to ask me first, otherwise I can eat all the time.
Tatiana, I'm asking you first. Tatiana, this is your area. How do we marry humanity with innovation?
Okay, I think you started the question, David, by talking technology, and then we moved to innovation. So I think maybe before I go and explain AI, metaverse, you know, the buzzwords that everyone talks about, I think what we did is we took a step back to try to define the difference between innovation and technology. So by nature, if I ask you innovation, the first thing you think, no key card in the hotel, I don't want the plastic key card, it's technology, AI, hyper-personalization, those terms that we keep talking about. But that's not necessarily true. So innovation and technology have a slight demarcation. The fact that innovation is slightly more than technology. So we have two different efforts, and I'll speak about both separately. Maybe just as an exercise of what we mean by innovation. I mean, if I can just ask everyone in the room, yourselves included, just close your eyes for a second. I'm not going to ask questions. This is David's job here. I'm just going to ask one question and just think of the answer. Just please close your eyes. And if I tell you a hotel, what's the first thing that comes to mind? No need for an answer. I tested it on myself. The first thing I think is a horizontal building, number one. You arrive, lobby, reception, go, elevator, key card, enter. So I'll tell you what's innovation and technology. So innovation is thinking, going back to the drawing board and thinking, who said that a hotel is necessarily a horizontal building? Who said that you need to give your car to a valet and enter a building? So those questions are the founding ground of innovation. So innovation is a business model innovation, organizational design innovation, et cetera, et cetera. And I can speak a lot about this subject because I'm obviously passionate about it. So what we've done is we've separated two different efforts. So we do a lot on innovation. And what do we do? What do we mean by this? So we rethink business models. Do we want to go to only HMAs, FMAs, or do we need to think about different commercial models? We think about organizational design. Who said that an organizational design in hospitality needs to be hierarchical? If you go outside the room, I can bet you ask anyone in hospitality, the heads of hospitality, CEOs, COOs, like, where did you start? They're going to tell you, I'm a rooms background, I'm an F&B background, I came from sales and marketing. We're innately ingrained to understand that you are siloed in terms of organizational structure and you are hierarchical. So we're thinking holacracy, meritocracy, not necessarily in an organizational design, you know. So innovation has much more to it. And my colleague, Wyatt Roy, who heads innovation for NEOM in general, yesterday spoke about taking our title, which is Imagination. Imagination is amazing, but we need to take this imagination into reality. This is what we're doing on innovation. Now, technology, and I won't bore the crowd here with talking technicalities, architectures. Technology is one element of innovation. And I think we have a motto within our team, being led by our leader, is just, you need to be bold. You know Chris very well, so, I mean, if you're not bold enough, then you're not doing your job. And we're thinking, I mean, you know what, go big or go home. So what we're introducing the world to, we do two things. One, our business model is working with the great likes of Hyatt, that's actually on the forefront of innovation when you look at hospitality. But we also create our brands, and you know that because we work closely together. So when we're creating our brands, this is what we want to put to the world. We want to call it a tech-centric operating company. And when I say this to people, they say, what do you mean? I say, again, tech-centric operating company. And people ask me, where's the human in it? I say, guys, if we need to still say in hospitality that the human comes first, then we are failing. So we're looking at it as a high-touch, high-tech. So we really don't feel the urge of saying human-centric, human-first. This for us is a given, honestly. We're just way beyond that. Technology is not there to replace people. AI is not there to replace people. We look at technology as a means to an end. It's not the end. It's a means to an end. So AI will give you the tools to do hyper-personalization, to reduce low-value work. And again, if I ask you another question, what do you think of technology? You think robotic hotel. That's not what we're doing. So we're thinking technology platform that operates room keys, that empowers our team, Saudi talent and otherwise, to have the skills to deliver the best guest experience, the most efficient one, and give the best returns to our stakeholders, whether it's NEOM or the rest of KSA. So I want to keep this in mind. So technology is an enabler, and it's not the end. It's a means to an end. And I'm pretty sure that Hyatt does something very similar.
Stephen, that was an amazing answer.
Yes,
thank you, Tatiana.
absolutely. And I think we're going to have great fun working together with you, Tatiana. So, I mean, from our side, I would say that, first of all, it's great that our brands are so aligned. You know, if you look at the values of NEOM and Hyatt, there are a lot of similarities. caring, listening, integrity, diversity, and inclusion. And one of the things that always comes through is our ability to test and learn. To be perfectly honest, maybe because of my gray hair, I would like to think our industry has been innovating since the beginning of time. I think that's what makes our industry so exciting and so attractive to young people. There is never a boring day in hospitality. I mean, let's take that as another given, I would say. And Hyatt certainly shares our responsibility with that, also to develop the local community. I think hotels play an important role in not only innovating, not only in their technological advances, but also in integrating a community around the property. And I think in NEOM we're going to have a wonderful advantage as the only 2 hotels that are going to be there. In terms of technology, of course, all the things that Tatiana mentioned are ongoing. We take a very much a test and learn approach to technology. Obviously, AI, through its algorithmic capabilities, is offering great advantages in terms of cost management, etc., for our stakeholders, and including best-of-class revenue management systems like Hyatt Pro. So there's obviously a very unique possibility to improve our operations, improve the way we work. We've just installed cameras on some of our dustbins, actually, that measure the amount of waste. And even skeptical executive chefs have fallen in line because they recognize the impact this has not only on the environment around them, but also on their food costs. So all of these technologies are not, as you said, replacing people, quite the opposite. And I totally agree with you that the human element is a given in hospitality. That's what it's all about.
I'd like to pick up on that. I mean, I know I'm watching the clock carefully, and I think from a brand and from a brand experience point of view, and from all of the work that obviously we've done together on every level, and when we rise above technology and when we realize that it is humanity, that it is all about humanity, that is going to form the brand, that's going to form that human connection, that's going to form the definition, in whether it's in voice or in whatever form. It's that humanity and everything else. And to Stephen, to your point, and Tatiana, to your brilliant response, it's humanity that rises above and forms that difference. And that leads me into what I think is possibly not necessarily the most challenging, but one of the most fascinating parts of the growth of hospitality as we draw towards Vision 2030, and that's this idea of sustainable community. Within the panoply of complexes of projects that run across the kingdom, whether they're at the Red Sea, whether they're in NEOM, whether they're at Medina, wherever they are, the need for sustainable growing communities is for me that kind of magic potion, that magic tonic that is going to draw the beauty of Saudi Arabia, that's going to express the beauty of Saudi Arabia. And it's one of the questions that everyone I know, everyone has at the back of their mind, of how this is really going to work. Tatiana, when you imagine the future, if you close your eyes, and you imagine the future community that will be that thriving metropolis that will be NEOM in 5-10 years' time, whenever that time comes, how does it become sustainable?
It's a very good question. Again, I think I don't want to bore the team here thinking because we're NEOM, we're at the forefront, we're a cognitive city, we're in the future, that we really do a lot of brainstorming. Every time we take a step or two back before we take 10 steps forward. So again, if I ask you, sustainable, we keep saying sustainability. The first thing that comes to mind for me is plastic straw, paper straw. No plastic bottle, glass bottle. This is not sustainability. No, so what we mean is under sustainability, you have the economic sustainability, you have cultural sustainability, you have economic sustainability. So to create a sustainable community is not necessarily an organic effort. And this is an unorthodox thought. People think if you open a hotel or if you open a master development, it automatically will work. That's not necessarily the case. There is an inorganic effort that needs to come into making this possible. And I think we come full circle. People first, technology and innovation are the seed. You actually plant the seed and you need to grow it. So you need to actually water the seed, you need to look after it. So how do we do it? I mean, you need to create a place that people want to go to and don't necessarily need to go to. If you are making a pleasant choice of going, how does it work? It works by working with the likes of the Hyatts of the world, with signing really good contracts with them. It comes with creating jobs, which we're aiming to do. We're targeting 25,000 local jobs by 2030. We attract investors, we attract guests. So there needs to be a very operationalizable strategy to create a community. So we don't expect to come here and show words on slides and say, you know what, we're going to be the first cognitive city, we're going to adapt to your needs, and we expect people to rush in. What we're doing is necessarily the complete opposite. It's actually sitting and thinking, why do people want to come? And once they come, why do people want to stay? And once they stay, why do people want to bring their families? And this is by creating local jobs, by creating the right attractions, the right entertainment, the right community, the right sustainability metrics. All of this coming together for me is the full circle of creating a community that people want to belong to.
Stephen, I'm going to come to you, but let me ask you, Tatiana, one question. You didn't mention the word culture.
I'll tell you why. Again, culture for us, and you should not, I mean, because culture and because we keep talking about this. And I think that's a flaw that we're looking at. When something is so innately ingrained in the DNA of what we do, we just take it for granted. So for us, bringing the culture together, and if you look at it, I mean, again, this is how I started talking about people. Culture is already in Saudi Arabia. The difference between what we do in NEOM and what you potentially need to do in other places in the world is the culture is already there. So we don't have necessarily a delta in the culture. The culture is hospitable by nature. The culture wants people to come into the homes. So we don't necessarily inorganically need to do anything there. This is organic, it's given. As soon as you go to, you said that you've met Stephen there. As soon as you arrive into Saudi Arabia, there is no way. They want to invite you to their homes. They want to overfeed you. They want you to sleep over. So the culture element is already there, and we're very lucky. Everything else on top of this seed of culture is an inorganic effort of watering this seed to make it roots in and leaves and branches out into the rest of the world.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But I think it's probably not a discussion for now because of time. But whether it's inorganic or organic, and how that evolves and how that changes is crucial. Stephen.
Yeah, well,
sorry,
no, absolutely. It's a very interesting conversation. I think first and foremost, as our group president says, hotels are just buildings. It's the soul of the building is the people that work in it and stay in it. And I think if you look at the values of NEOM again, one that really stands out to me is the ask of us all to be curious. And I like that word very much, and we have the same in our value set. Curiosity is what's helped to drive our industry, to help us to innovate, to make sure that we become part of that community. I mean, hotels invariably are places where people celebrate, where they are distressed, in the case of celebrating a lost one. Birthdays are celebrated, weddings are celebrated, business meetings are conducted. I think I've been lucky enough to work in some new entrant properties. For instance, I opened the Hyatt Regency in Kiev in Ukraine, still operating as we speak. And if I think to the difference that made within the local community, simple things. We arranged for taxi drivers to have meters on their cars, the first meter-driven taxis in the city of Kiev at that time. So the impact is very far-ranging. The developmental impact, the spirit it creates within the community, because it brings all of these people together in all sorts of different situations. That's the wonderful thing about our industry.
And I think it's incumbent not just on my brilliant panelists, but on everyone in this room and everyone who's involved in hospitality, that we are creating, we're not creating cultures, but we're creating the foundations from which these souls will develop. The hotels that will develop will form a part of the fabric of the new society, of new societies, such as those at the Red Sea, or obviously at NEOM or elsewhere. And I think the future of it's so magical when we imagine the future of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It's so magical when we imagine hospitality. And for all of us who are involved, it's one of certainly the greatest privileges and honors of my life to be so integrated and so involved in the future of hospitality. And I know we're out of time, and I want to thank Tatiana and Stephen for their really candid and true responses, and to thank you, the audience, for listening to us. Thank you very much.